I've gotten a request to feature this story, and I think it's good because firstly you can hear how someone grew his income. A lot of times on this channel I try to share strategies and try to give some optimism, because when you build your income properly, your retirement equation becomes a little bit easier. The second is because these are real numbers for a young family in Singapore. Just in case you're also raising children, maybe there are some points that would give you further food for thought. And the third is this real dilemma on whether to upgrade or not, and what really is true satisfaction. Hi guys, welcome back. Let's start with key details. Today's story is about an entrepreneur in his mid-30s staying in an EC that he bought for $830,000. Currently, he has no car loans, no other loans, and only property loan. That property loan amount is $575,000 and is locked in at 1.5% until 2026. So this is not the only one that I've seen locking in 5 years loan. And again, it's a brilliant move that I wish I did for myself back in 2021 or so. But the loan size is not too big considering that he's earning pretty well. Next, he has around 30,000 in CPF OA and his wife has about 47,000 in CPF OA. I quizzed for these because I was thinking for an angle of whether he can pay off the loan. And with that, other information came on, such as his savings in his personal as well as company accounts. He owns the company, so that company savings is as good as his. So if you sum the two of them up, right at the very top, the orange bars, you would realize that the total cash savings is $638,000. Wow, so if the loan is 575k with CPF OA and this cash savings, he can pay off the loan already, right? Stress-free already, right? Actually, the answer is yes and no. Because yes, you pay off the loan, that's great. The biggest liability in your life is gone already. But no also, because if you pay off the loan with the OA and this huge pile of cash, you will realize there's nothing much left after that. How to retire? How to raise two young children in today's Singapore society? So retirement question can only come in after the home is paid. Just like your parents, my parents, they have cleared away their home loan, so they can sit on whatever they have in assets and consume it. Speaking to here, let me ask you to imagine if you have built up $600,000+ of savings, how would you feel? If you feel rich, it's because of this philosophy, the financial thermostat. That means usually your bank account does not have that much money. Maybe you have 100,000 and you're comfortable with it. Suddenly seeing 600,000 in your bank account, your financial thermostat will go to a green. You're wealthy already. When that money is inside, you feel like spending it. You're more open to big ticket items. On the other hand, if that number is way lower than what you're used to, then it might go to the red zone where you feel poor. You might start to pull back on expenses, which is a natural reaction because you always want to fill your bank accounts to your own comfortable number. For anyone that's trying to build wealth, I would suggest to always flush out your extra money into investments so that you avoid feeling that wealthy feeling that will lead to lifestyle inflation. So as always, if you learned something, smash a like and smash on the subscribe button also, as we uncover more stories like this to help more Singaporean families get to a better financial place. When there's new stories like this, you will get notified also. So thank you for that. Let me share with you what my own comfortable number is. As long as I see 20,000 in my bank account, I'm actually pretty comfortable already. I flush most of my cash out of my bank accounts frequently. My money is outside, that's why there's no bankers calling me. And that's why my broker is very happy and very nice to me. So a different path. And I also can share with you a bit. I work with a lot of private clients and seeing big savings amounts are also not too rare. The typical profile is that they are too busy at work or in business, like in this case. When they receive bankers' call, they typically say, don't call me, don't sell me anything, all I don't want. So what happens is the cash pile builds up until they come to a point where they are rethinking their life and what to do with that cash savings. So if you're in this situation and you need financial advice, I do fee-based retirement planning. Look for the links below. Now back to the story of this entrepreneur who's a boss of his own small company. Right now, he's paying himself $17,000. As you can see in the title, previously he was earning way much more and he paid himself at least $30,000 for a couple of years. at least 30,000 before you feel it's impossible and only CEOs can draw this kind of pay. It's actually not. I can help you understand a bit further. There's a difference between professionals and those who climb the corporate ladder well, is that the market value of high income would typically stay there. In addition, they have bonuses added on to their base salary. And typically for high management, the bonus could easily be 6 to 12 months. These can come in cash or in stock. That's why the ability to build wealth is very strong. But for small business owners or self-employed, it's possible to hit these numbers actually with one core skill, which is selling. I'm sure you've heard of stories of, for example, a real estate agent who has sold a $2-3 million condo and made a 40 or 60,000 commission. These really are very possible. I've also seen in my own field of work, someone who is in the renovation industry. In 2023, 2022, he was making big profits, $40,000 or $50,000 per month, because there were a lot of houses completed after the COVID period where there was pent-up demand. So if you're a small business owner or in sales also, I can share with you a bit that the challenge will be slightly different because there is less certainty that this revenue, this profitability would not peak out or would not plateau. It's not too easy to earn high income over a long period. That's why if you're in this situation, you need to be very aware of your finances longer term, because the industry might change or your health might change. That does not allow you to earn that high income permanently. But back to this story of how he managed to earn so much in this last few years, $30,000 plus per month. I actually quizzed him and he did share some secrets, which is a lot of his success can be attributed to his entrepreneurial networks that he built in his earlier years. Some of his contacts became friends and became his B2B clients, which pay him very good amounts of money. And looking back, the success did not come overnight. There was clear laying of foundations and building of connections, a bit like what we see in PayPal Mafia. You can see over here that this group of people are all very wealthy. You see Elon Musk over there, you see David Sachs, who runs All In Podcasts. You also see Peter Thiel, who's one of the founding people in Palantir. So okay, if you want to build business, build your own career, lay the right foundations, and eventually it could reward you very big down the years ahead. Something to help inspire you further, I also quizzed him before 2020, what were his earnings like? He was just in a normal corporate job and his earnings were only up to $5,000 per month. So you can definitely build your income if you're willing to put in the hard work and lay the seeds today. Understanding his income already, let's now move on to where that money flows to, his expenses. I've done up this pie chart to quickly capture the key information. I'd like to draw your attention to the bottom right corner, children's school fees, $3,800. He has 2 kids, and if I were to guess, this has to be a private preschool, correct? Even after working mother's child relief, these kind of amounts do come in. And if I were to interpret this correctly, he has volunteered to take on this cost into his own books, which brings on the discussion. Between couples have a style of sharing costs that brings both together. Some like to share in terms of percentage, or some, like in this case, prefer to be generous. But more importantly, talk through openly and talk through when there's changes to income. Always be willing to hear your partner's point of view on how to share the expenses, because financial health impacts a relationship's health. Then the next part in grey, parents, $1,250. So he is coming from a sandwich generation. His parents depend on his income quite a bit. So when he asked me, how come my expenses are so much lower? I did share with him that this was one pie that I was lucky. I do not have to foot it. My parents are okay. Some families even need to foot more because they have parents or children in disability. So we do come from our own very unique family backgrounds. Love it or hate it, these are just responsibilities. Luckily for him, he's still saving a very big amount of money. The amount top left in brown color. This $5,740 is huge. And if you think back, previously he was earning more than $30,000, correct? That means per month he could be saving like $20,000. That really explains how this $600,000+ in personal savings and corporate savings came in. 3 years of $20,000 plus, that's how we can back guess. This amount of savings is pretty good because it allows him to consider upgrading his house. Quote, We were initially intending to sell our current EC at 1.275 million and purchase a resale condo at 2.5 to 2.9 million. Expensive cause it's located in Bishan and relatively new. I tried to dig up a name for him so we can enlarge the case study, and one of the names he considered strongly was Sky Habitat. I happened to do an analysis before, and what I can show you also is that owners in this property have made monies in the last few years because the markets have trended up. But before that, from 2013 to 2020, prices were pretty stagnant around 1006 PSF, correct? I pull up this chart to again suggest prudency, that fast gains may not happen all the time, and that is not a given also. So if you were to buy a $2.9 million Sky Habitat new home, he would likely have to take a loan of $2 million, correct? EC setting at 1.275 M, loan balance 575,000, that means a 700,000 capital coming back. Top up some cash, top up some CPF, and that's how you buy a $2.9 million condo. If he wants, he can throw in all his capital, his wife's capital also, and maybe bring the loan further down to $1.2 to $1.5 million. That would make the per month mortgage slightly less stressful. But I'd like to also seek some caution. If he is thinking of going in this path, would that be all in for a new property, a new home, and there'll be very little left for retirement? Is it really worth it? Now the answer really depends because it's very personal. Some may say upgrade and then downgrade. If the property market is strong, you could benefit financially even. Sky Habitat's PSF could rise to 2005 in 5-10 years, and you can sell it and then downgrade more comfortably. I see a lot of property adverts suggesting that, but the thought always lingers with me. What if property trend starts to flatten or tail downwards? Then that would naturally hurt a family's finances, similar to what we saw in Sky Habitat's earlier few years. It also depends because everybody have their own preferences and ambitions. For himself, he has always wanted to upgrade and help his family get to a better living environment because he came from a challenging background. Even if he's working hard for 5-10 years, taking on more mortgage stress and KIVing retirement, it is still worth it because we only live life once. Really depends on perspective, and that's where we'd like to invite you to comment in the sections below what your personal journey is and what your personal preferences are. But as always, be polite because we want to be constructive. That leads me to the next section. What is satisfaction? My friend, Mr. Lu, and someone who I view as a mentor, Mr. Kris Tan, actually had this discussion about him downgrading from condo to HDB. It's very different from what most Singaporeans are thinking about. Most of us are thinking about moving from a low to a high SES, social economic status point of view. But to that point, I always feel the higher SES part is all up in the mind. The happiness of getting to a higher place may not be as lasting as what we usually think it is. There's a saying, when you get to a new neighborhood, you will still realize that there are people way richer than you. The wealth game is never ending. So instead, I'd like to promote happiness and satisfaction, and that's why I have this previous videos that I'd like to introduce you. The first is what to do to have happiness in retirement, and the second is how you can get to semi-retirement earlier if you want to live life a bit differently. Check out either of these tutorials, and I'll see you there too. Take care as always. Goodbye.